my kartal audible? Can you please confirm?
Saying, yes, Prabhu.
Okay, bro. नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पशरं नवभावधरं नवलास्यपरं नवगौरवरं नवपुष्पशरं नवभावधरं नवलास्यपरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमभरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं नवहास्यकरं नवहेमभरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतसुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवप्रेमयुतं नवनीतसुचं नववेशकृतं नवप्रेमरसं नवधाविलसत् शुभप्रेमभयं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं नवधाविलसत् शुभप्रेममयं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं हरिभक्तिपरं हरिनामधरं करगप्यकरं हरिनामपरं हरिभक्तिपरं हरिनामधरं करजाप्यकरं हरिनामपरं नयने सततं प्रणयाश्रुधरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं वधावतयनाश्रुधरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं सततं जनता भवतापहरं परमार्थप्रयाणलोकगतिं सततं जनता भवतापहरं परमार्थपरायणलोकगतिं नवलेहकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं नवलेहकरं जगतापहरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं निजभक्तिकरं प्रियचारुतरं नटनार्तननागरराजकुलं निजभक्तिप्रिया चारुकरं नटनार्तननागरराजकुलं कुलकामिनि मानसलास्यकरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं कुलकामिनि मानसलास्यकरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं करताल नवभावधरं नवलास्यपरं नवहास्यकरं नवघेमवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं नवहास्यकरं करणायेमवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरं प्रणमामि सतीसुतगौरवरम् जय राधा माधव राधा माधव श्री राधे जय राधा माधव राधा माधव श्री राधे जय कृष्ण बलराम कृष्ण बलराम जय वृंदावन धाम जय गौरनिताय पतित पावन गौरनिताय जय पंचतत्व पतित पावन पंचतत्व जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम जय श्री प्रभुपाद।
Ribo.
Hari Bo. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Really beautiful bhajan. Very nice. Okay, let's read the translation. Yeah, this is one of my favorite ones. Thank you so much, Prabhu. His complexion is the hue of fresh cream tinged with kumkum. He is the ever-fresh Cupid who shoots arrows of newly blossoming flowers. He bears newer and newer moods of emotional ecstasies. He is fond of performing novel dances. He makes ever new jokes that cause much laughter. His brilliant luster is like freshly cast gold. I bow down to Gora, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is endowed with ever-fresh love of Godhead. His radiant luster is like the gold, like the color of fresh butter. His fresh attires arranged in ever-new passions. He relishes ever-new mellows of love for Krishna. He shines in ninefold new ways while executing the ninefold process of devotion. He is permeated with a most loving nature. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is absorbed in devotion to Sri Hari. He maintains the chant. He maintains the chanting of the names of Hari. While chanting, he counts the holy names on the fingers of his hands. He is addicted to the name of Hari. He always has tears of love welling in his eyes. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is always removing the suffering in the material existence for mankind. He is the goal of life for persons who are dedicated to their supreme interest. He inspires men to become like honeybees, eager for the honey of Krishna Prem. He removes the burning fever of the material world. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He motivates pure devotion unto himself. He is most attractive to his beloved servitors. By his dramatic dancing, he exhibits the characteristics of the king of paramours. He causes the minds of beautiful young village women to dance. I bow down to to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi. Sachi. River.
He plays kartals as his throat emits sweet melodious sounds and the vibrant notes of the veena are softly played. He thus inspires the devotees to perform dramatic dancing that is infused with aspects of his own devotional service. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
He is accompanied by the Sankirtan movement, which is the religious practice for the age of Kali. He is the son of Nand Maharaj, come again. He is the extraordinarily brilliant ornament of the earth. His preaching mode is suitably adapted to the cycle of birth and death. His consciousness is fixed in meditation on his own form of Krishna. He is accompanied by the by his transcendental abode. I bow to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
His eyes, the soles of his feet, and his clothing are reddish like the color that heralds the rising sun. As he utters his own names, his voice flutters. He awakens his sweet flavor to life throughout the universe. I bow down to Gaura, the beautiful son of Mother Sachi.
बोल श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय.
Jai.
Thank you so much, Smita Krishna Prabhu. This was really nice.
Yes, Haribo. Very nice kid.
Okay, Haribol. Now we will go to the artwork. First artwork is by Siddharth Prabhu. There it is.
Wow, Haribol.
Haribol.
Oh, very nice.
Beautiful.
Yes, Prabhu.
So beautiful.
This could be a painting on the wall. Very nice coloring.
Prabhu, I just realized I forgot to draw tilak and the kantimala. I'm so sorry.
Didn't notice even, Prabhu. Anyways, Prabhu, it's really beautiful. You can add it later.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu, I'll do that. Sorry about this. Please forgive me.
No problem, Prabhu. Do you have some verse? Did you have something?
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh, Haribol, you can share, Prabhu.
Yeah, you can share the one Namo Mahavadanyaya.
Okay.
Will you share it or shall I read it out, Prabhu?
You can read, Prabhu.
All right. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne God Tushe Namaha. O most munificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden color of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Reward.
Haribol. Very nice verse.
Haribo.
Okay, then the next artwork is by Shivranj Prabhu. But Prabhu is not here. We will see the artwork anyway. Haribol. Oh, this is really nice.
Haribo.
Rivo, this looks like
Oh,
reunion
this is
island.
great. Yeah. This is so great. Shivansh Babu ki jai.
Jai. Yeah, I would like to see one day Pranjal Prabhu do the artwork. He could share could do something. He always does the nice pictures in Telegram.
I think Pranjal Prabhu can do like Manu Prabhu, the same, like a small comics
Yes, Prabhu.
using the sticker, and just told the story, with the sticker. It would be very nice, actually.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah, everyone would look up for that. It says Rebo. Is there verse? Let's see. Oh, no verse. Okay, I think that was the artwork. What is the time? Oh, we are early. Is it now
Didn't
3:50?
Prabhu say we start at 3 or something?
Yeah, we
Or is
have.
that just oh.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Luvesh Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai.
Karti Prabhu is in temple, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
So next we will have special speech by His Grace Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu in 9 minutes.
Jai.
So how are you, Luvesh Prabhu? How's the exams? Are they over?
Great, Prabhu. So I don't have exams. My timings and everything are all different. We just started our new semester 2 to 3 weeks back.
Ah, yes, Prabhu.
So the exams will come like in two months or so.
Hmm.
So I have a lot of time to study and
Yes,
so
Prabhu.
I'm gonna try to perfect the balance between karmi work and devotional work.
Yes, Prabhu. Do you have to go to the school a lot?
Actually, I do because that's just the nature of some of my courses. I have to be there on site because the lectures are not recorded, and even if they are, it's just preferred that I'm there because I also have to give some presentations. So I have to stand in front of a karmi crowd and try to please them. So yeah,
Yes, Prabhu.
what to do?
Yeah, but you're good at presenting, so that's easy.
Yeah, thank you for the encouragement, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu, you could present anything and it would be good.
Yes, Prabhu. Please pray for me so I just finish as quickly as possible so that I can come to ISK in Pondicherry.
Yes, Prabhu.
Please pray hard. Because Krishna will listen to you, Krishna say Tama, Krishna jite par.
Krishna is already giving you the intelligence to present to them something simple and then run away.
Yes, Prabhu. I truly believe that.
Gaura Shakti Prabhu, where are you going?
I don't know yet. I just try to find a place where there is some people so that I can perform some harinam
Oh, yes, Prabhu.
and distribute some book. Yeah, I already distribute book with Mataji. We distribute Prashad and book this morning. And
Is it
yeah,
some
for
speech?
me, it's like the whole day I will do that. If I have the opportunity, I will do Harinam Sankirtan all around the Rainian Island.
Haribo.
So this is like, yeah, I will do like that. When I don't work, I will work for Krishna
Yes, Prabhu.
always. I try.
Very nice. Did you distribute some sweet prasadam or?
Yeah, sweet prasad. Yeah, it was
Oh,
some sweet, like some banana, fry, and
oh,
this
really?
is a specialty here in Reunion Island. Yeah, fried banana, and the people they like it, and so we distribute that. And yeah, Mataji did a lot of, but in 5 minutes,
Hmm.
everything was,
That's
eaten by everyone. Yeah, so it goes very quickly, and we get some nice donation, and
oh,
we distribute perhaps more than 15 book. I forgot, but yeah, very nice. We were only two, only me with Mataji, but yeah, it's very nice to do those seva, like Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, Harinam, and distribution of Prasad. This is the best,
yes,
This
Prabhu.
is very nice.
What book you have
Yeah.
now?
So, we just have the magazine now,
Yes, Prabhu. How many?
and yeah, and and the Bhagavad Gita, only that
Yes,
for
Prabhu.
now.
Do you have like
Yeah.
most of the magazines sold, or do you have a lot of left?
Oh yes. Only the third issue. It's only I only left the third issue. The
Oh,
one issue and the second issue already all distributed.
so what is the next plan?
So it was. So now I just try to distribute more the third issue. Then I want to. I have a new project. I want to create a small book. Yeah.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
I will told you later about all the information. But yeah, I want to create a small book, more for Reunion Island, more easy to distribute also.
Yes,
But it would be, of course, 100%, Srila Prabhupada
it's
teaching. But
like Jad Prabhu did.
yeah, yes, just arranged differently.
Yes,
And
Prabhu.
I was working with Bhakta Jad, and I know, how to do it actually. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhu.
Because most of the work we were doing together, so I know how to arrange it. Because I noticed that yeah, when I distribute, I have some new realization. Krishna give me some new inspiration. And I noticed that the people sometimes they just want to grab something very not so big, like small book,
Yes, Prabhu.
because they don't have, sometimes they don't have a bag, they don't have, and they can take it very easily, So just a small book, and then perhaps some presentation about the Maha Mantra, how to chant Hare Krishna, why to chant Hare Krishna, what is the mantra, what is Krishna, some overall book, like to explain to them, because here, like everywhere in the world, they are not inclined in philosophy, You
Yes,
give
Prabhu.
them some philosophy, some will run away, some will just, oh, go away, I don't want your book, I don't want this. But yeah, most of the time it's like this, But I just try to make it more, how to say that? They have to grab it, because there is something inside that they want to look, at to see, I want to make it like that. Like there is something inside that they will be attracted to. So I don't want to spoil now, but I have some idea, and I just want yes, it to happen, but it will take it. So I hope that Krishna will help me, because I'm fight for that, but give me some inspiration to do that. Yeah, it will be a small book.
Yes, Prabhu. This sounds good idea.
And also it will. I want to, because there is the problem with the printing. Now this is a problem, because I have to print in other country, because Otherwise, the cost here is very high to print here in Reunion Island. It's very high. It's very expensive, very expensive. So I have printed, for example, in find something shipped to me to Reunion Island. So it's not so easy
Yes,
for
Prabhu.
us. But if I can do a small book, perhaps it will cost more, less, and it will be more cheaper. I don't know. I have to talk with the, you know, the one who print for me here. I
Yes,
don't know.
Prabhu. Okay.
So yes, this is the project. I will tell you more later because this is very new. Nobody knows. Now everyone knows. But yeah, before that, I never spoke. Shida Prabhu, we know a little about it, but that's all.
Yes, Prabhu. This sounds like nice plan. I hope you get the books quickly.
Yes, yes. I try to keep the momentum. Just try to keep going
Yes,
because
Prabhu.
the book is going. I distribute the book like quickly. Sometimes I just put a box, a wall box full of book, and a wall package will have like 250 books, and in 1 week sometimes all gone. So I have, yeah, sometimes it will be like that. So I have to think, oh, then what will I distribute? Because the printing here is very expensive, and
Yes, Prabhu.
yeah, we haven't found a real solution, now. So we
Yes.
just I just want to make a small book so that perhaps it will cost less, it will be more cheaper, and then I can keep going, and I have something to distribute, some literature to distribute here. This is the problem in France, because all the book, uh, especially in Reunion Island, because all the book, the shipping is very expensive. So shipping cost is very high.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
we
Yeah.
have no choice. We have to produce something here that can cost less, and then I will have something going on always, always that will going on like this. But Krishna will arrange something, Prabhu. Yeah, I will keep going.
Yes, Prabhu.
Despite the fact I'm not qualified for that, I'm not qualified, but somehow, just like in chapter 10 and verse 10 of Bhagavad Gita, somehow if you want to serve with devotion, Krishna gives you intelligence to do it.
Yes,
So
Prabhu. Yeah, it's like this.
perhaps it will inspire me. So yeah, thank you very much. I don't want to talk much more longer, but
No
yeah,
problem,
thank
Prabhu.
you very much.
Thank you for sharing. And
Jai
it's
Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna, Prabhu, Kandat Param, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my obeisance, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
I think Amit Prabhu expanded into two forms for
Yes,
like a few seconds.
he was trying to expand, but it crashed somehow.
No, I thought he literally expanded himself, because he wanted to take in the joy of Istagoshti even more.
Oh, Prabhu?
Prabhu, you expanded yourself into two Amits in the Zoom call.
Yes, Prabhu, I saw it.
I think Amit Prabhu can secretly expand himself into two. He has some mystic powers. Oh, wait, I think the mystic powers again because he was joining the reading sessions more often. So Krishna blessed him with some mystic power.
I think in some few minutes, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu will join, and then we will hear from him something like. Oh, Hare Krishna, Devang, Prabhu, Dandat Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you for joining, Prabhu. Oh, Prabhu, what is this? You're having plus 15. Is this true? Ruvesh Prabhu, is this your place?
Yeah, Prabhu, yes. Linz.
Oh, you're having full summer there.
Yeah, it's very weird, you know. Actually, the thing is, it's not really full summer. It's just these few days. Few days are sunny, and then others are cold and gloomy, you know. So it's kind of a mix right now. I don't know what's going on.
Yes, Prabhu. Today is like beach day. You could go do Harinam.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm waiting till mid-April when it's really in full force, you know.
Yes,
Because it's
Prabhu.
still a little bit cold outside, for me at least. Indian body is not used to.
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, here it is also, it's really sunny, but when you go outside, you freeze suddenly.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, mid-April we'll have our first ISKM Kirtan in a
Oh,
public park in Austria. So just bless me.
mid-April. So, yes, Prabhu. Okay.
Haribo, may Lord Nashima bless you.
I need your blessings, Gaura Shakti Prabhu, also, you know, because you are our lead Kirtan in public parks. So you know how to bless.
No, uh,
Yeah, this is true, Prabhu.
think too much. Just go and chant the name, and it will be ecstatic. You know, it will be very blissful. I guarantee you. Think, just go and chant. That's all. This is the difficulty to chant. Everything will become blissful. Everything.
Yes,
Even if ourselves we doubt ourselves before that, even if sometimes we have some, you know, just we don't feel so good, you know, the weather, or I don't know, there's so much thing. This mind is so much rascal, you know. But the moment that you say, okay, shut up the mind, you know, you say, okay, I'm fed up, you just go and chant, then Krishna reveals himself, you know. Then everything is okay, is all right. Everything becomes so good. Just in few minutes, I will do that. You know, there is a place in my right. I just want to park my car and then I will go and chant. That's all. I don't think so much. I just go and chant, and then Krishna will arrange so much thing. It's incredible. So
It's
your faith get
training.
it increase. You know, you your faith increase, and then you want to do more harinam, you want to chant more, you know, it's like this. So I just encourage you to do so. Just take the first step, and you know, just like the first time you want to learn to swim, you have to jump in the water. So jump in the water, and then you can learn how to swim. So harinam is the same. You just go and chant, and then Krishna will give you everything so that you can keep going
thank
like
you so
this.
much for your blessings, Prabhu. Very much appreciated.
Yes, of course, you
Yes,
have.
Prabhu.
I'm not qualified to bless anyone, but I will encourage you and motivate you, because this is the best activity, welfare activity that we can do. This is the best thing, Prabhu. Just do Harinam Sankirtan and everything becomes successful. Our life becomes successful. Even those who are not chanting, they will perhaps perhaps we will induce them to chant. We don't know. This is not our plan, but definitely this is going to bring good to us and to others. So yeah, this is the best thing to do. So why we don't do that? I don't know, but we should do that more often, regularly, every day.
Thank you, Prabhu.
we we must chant.
Thank
Yes,
you so
Prabhu.
much.
So yes,
Means bro,
Keep going.
going to a place,
Cool.
just going to a place and chanting, and nothing else, like no instrument, nothing else.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, glories to Prabhupada. Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna,
Hare
much.
Krishna
Krishna
Prabhu,
Chaitanya
Krishna
Prabhu,
Prabhu,
please accept my humble voices. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you for your
so much
association.
for giving your association to us, Prabhu.
No, I should say thank you because getting your association, all of your association is very valuable. So thank you so much. Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu, Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I want to thank you for the tip you gave the last week for attentive chanting. It's been really helpful. I was trying to pay attention and it did feel fulfilling in a way.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, I think it's always helpful to chant attentively, and thank you for that feedback. Something that even I'm trying to do more and more. It's a process, right? We have to obviously move from inattentiveness to attentiveness. Right? So I think our sadhana every day when we wake up, if we can remind ourselves that we have to give attention to every aspect of devotional service, then it becomes very wonderful. This process of bhakti becomes so beautiful. But just now I was hearing Prabhu driving the car mentioned, right? The mind is very tricky. You play games, which is why, as he rightly said, we should not pay attention to the mind. And that's where Prabhupada's formula, right? Whatever and as we chant, if we hear, then we learn how to ignore the mind. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to ignore the mind. Because the mind is always making plans. So the best way to keep the mind aside is to know what we are doing. Actually, this definition of attention is nothing but to know what you're doing. If we know what we do, that is attention. Right? The very crude example. Supposing you're playing, say, a game of table tennis, right? Or you're playing a game of badminton, any sport, anybody, any sport that you're accustomed to play during your times, during your childhood. You would have noticed that when you play that particular sport, right, knowingly or unknowingly, what happens is your attention is locked. Let's assume you're playing for 1 point. So there's always a rally that happens, right? For each point you secure. Have you noticed that during that rally, you will not be thinking of anything else? Your only objective will be to score the point, right? And after that, after you've secured the point, either you've secured the point or you've lost that point, there is a gap that comes between two rallies, right? That's when you think about something else. But again, when you start playing, you're fixed, right? You're not thinking of anything else. You're just playing, and every time you're playing, your attention is locked. You know why that happens? The reason it happens is because there are two aspects involved in any activity. One is called doing the activity. The other aspect is called knowing the activity. When you know what you're doing, that is attention. When you're playing a sport, because you know what you're doing, you know that you have to score a point, your attention gets locked. It doesn't go anywhere. And you also know the purpose behind why you're playing. The purpose behind why you're playing is to win the game, right? That's why during the duration of the game, you don't think of anything else, right? The same science applies to chanting. When we know what we chant, and we know that the objective of this chanting is to take us and lead us to Krishna Prema, then automatically we will find a way to fix the attention on what we are trying to do. So knowing the objective is important, and knowing what we are doing is important. If these two things are taken care, then this will nicely go and sit, in our consciousness. So that every time you pick up the chanting bag, you know that you're doing an activity now, and you should know what you're doing. Right? This becomes a habit. Now, obviously, you have to train the mind. So the more we train the mind, what happens is it reaches a stage where this becomes a habit. See, even without you endeavoring, every time you pick up the chanting bag, your attention will immediately get locked. That's why this, as we were discussing the last week, right? This whole aspect of sadhana bhakti is to move from inattention to attention. That's all. Sadhana bhakti, the definition of sadhana bhakti, in very crude terms, in very commonsensical terms, is to move from a state of inattention to a state of attention. If we do that, then our sadhana bhakti is successful. Otherwise, we can continue doing this process of bhakti for so many years, but we'll find very little progress that we'll make. And that is what Krishna is looking at, right? Krishna is not just looking at how much physical effort we are putting. He's also looking at, hey, is this person actually trying to give attention to the activities that he's doing in bhakti? So if that effort, that Chaitanya is there from our side, then Krishna will reciprocate. Ye yatamam prapadyante, tams tataiva bhajatya. As we endeavor, Krishna will reciprocate. Right? So that's the consciousness with which we should operate. Of course, easier said than done, but we should always have this in our mind, right? We should always keep endeavoring towards how, every day after the day is over, when we come to the next day, we should think about how we did in the previous day. Okay, how can I improve my service to Prabhupada and Krishna? If we constantly think about, what can I do better in bhakti to please Prabhupada and Krishna, that consciousness itself will pave the way for our advancement. See, even the great sage Vyasadeva, when he wrote all the Puranas and Upanishads, he also introspected, right? He was also feeling dissatisfied. And which is why, he all wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam. So even a sage as great as Vyasadeva is constantly introspecting. Right? Even the acharyas, the great souls, they are also introspecting. Hey, how is my consciousness today? Is it okay? Is it not good? Is it good? Is it bad? What can I do better? So when Vyasadeva was contemplating what can he do better, why is he not feeling happy? Then Krishna made an arrangement to send his guru Narada Muni to. You see, when a sincere disciple earnestly wants to serve the Lord makes an arrangement for the instructions to come to that sincere disciple in the form of a spiritual master, and then guides him on how he can make further advancement. That's how Narada Muni came into the scene, inspired by Krishna, and Narada Muni then instructed Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva then compiled the Srimad Bhagavatam. So it was Vyasadeva's earnestness to practice bhakti, his earnestness to understand what was going wrong in him, right? That paved the way for him to compile the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the acharyas are all giving us very beautiful examples by their own lives that we should never be satisfied with bhakti. Every day we should endeavor to do what more we can do as compared to the previous day. And that way, by the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna and all the Vaishnavas, our attempts to serve Prabhupada and Krishna will become more fulfilling. Right? So this is something that we should always keep in mind. Any activity we do, let's introspect. So I was discussing Prahlad Prabhu, and we were discussing yesterday. We're saying there's a Gaur Purnima festival that just went off, right? So Prabhu and we were discussing, should write down what are the things that went off well at that festival. What are the things that probably did not go as well as it should have gone? And how can we constantly endeavor to improve? This should always be our mood. We should never think we have done 100% service to Prabhupada and Krishna. No, we can never do that. Every time, even if you let's assume we take a session, we're running the session today. It's not wrong to sit down, after a couple of sessions and then see for ourselves, what can we do better? Did we serve Prabhupada and Krishna to our full effort, right? Is there more that we can do? We can constantly keep improving ourselves. Of course, we don't want to complicate things, but then there are always reasons that we will find to improve our quality of service to Guru and Gauranga. So that consciousness is something that we should always have in mind. That aim for perfection to serve Prabhupada and Krishna. Our aim for perfection should not be to become a perfect person. That we cannot become. But in the service that we are doing to Prabhupada and Krishna, are we doing it to our best ability and giving them the best satisfaction? Right. That should always be our consciousness. So, yeah. You want to start the topic now, Sami Prabhu, or is there anything else you want to discuss before that?
Yes, Prabhu, I have another query. You just mentioned about training the mind, right? What are the do's and don'ts that constitute training of the mind?
Okay. So the do's and don'ts, as you all know, in the Nectar of Instruction, Krishna Swami has very beautifully explained the Upadeshamrita. Right. What are the do's and what are the don'ts? So if you go to the verse 2 and 3 of Nectar of Instruction, right? Let's go to those verses and see for us. You're there? Oh, wonderful. So you see here, he says in text 2, once devotional service is spoiled, these are the don'ts. When he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities: eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required, over endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement, or rejecting the rules and regulations of scriptures and working independently or whimsically, associating with worldly minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness, and then 6, being greedy for mundane things. So these are the don'ts. Now the do's, somebody wants to read, can read.
There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1. Being enthusiastic. 2. Endeavoring with confidence. 3. Being patient. 4. Acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, hearing, chanting, and remembering Krishna. 5. Abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6. Following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assured the complete success of pure devotional service.
So these are the 6 don'ts and do's that Rupa Goswami has recommended for all devotees to follow. Now, the baseline to all this is following the instructions of the spiritual master. Of course, Prabhupada has very clearly instituted a structure where all these do's and don'ts that Rupa Goswami has mentioned is part of how the institution has been built. So if we follow the line of authority of the institution, then automatically these things will be part and parcel, in terms of how we can imbibe these principles in our life. See, that's why this whole system of institution, authority, all that is there, right? Otherwise, if we know this in theory, each one of us can actually start our own Krishna consciousness center, right? So why this institution? Why this authority system? The reason all of this is being given is because only in an institution or in an authority system, we are able to give up this propensity to independently do things. And that's the biggest disease of the mind. The biggest disease of the mind is to do things independently. And when we try doing things independently, then what happens? Instead of becoming the master of the mind, we become the servant of the mind. Right? Because when we are independent, there is nobody to question our activities. We're whimsical, right? We can say, I am following the instructions of Rupa Goswami. 6 do's are there, 6 don'ts are there. I will try following. Why should I even be in this system of institution? No, unless we are in the system of institution, it is very difficult to follow those instructions. Sometimes even while being in the system of institution, it is so difficult to follow. Imagine if you're not in the system of institution, how difficult it is to follow. So that's why Prabhupada formulated the Society for Krishna Consciousness. Formulated an authority system like a GBC, a temple president, temple commander or a temple manager, right? All these different titles and positions have been created only to enable us to follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Otherwise, there is no need for all of these things. Everything that Prabhupada has created has got a certain reason why it's been created. Because the biggest challenge that the mind has is to think itself as the doer. It's very easy to get into that habit. The minute we think we are the doer, that's why even while we think or even while we endeavor to do things attentively in devotional service, we should pray to Prabhupada and Krishna to give us that attentive mood. See, even though you may endeavor to attentively chant or attentively perform our devotional activities, that also is difficult without the mercy of Prabhupada and Krishna. So at no given point in time should we think that the credit to this devotional service belongs to me because I have done it attentively. No, even to have the ability to do things attentively, we need the mercy of the spiritual master. We need the help of the Vaishnavas. Right? Otherwise, it's very difficult. That's why before we start chanting, right? Every time before we start chanting Krishna's names, when we offer prayers to the spiritual master, and when we chant the Panchatattva mantra, we should fervently pray to the Panchatattva deities, to Prabhupada, that please allow me to attentively chant Krishna's names. Oh Lord, please, this should be our prayer when we say the Panchatattva mantra. When we chant Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. After every round we chant, right? At that time, the mood in which we should offer prayers to the Panchatattva deities is with this mood that the next 108 times when I chant Krishna's names, let me pay attention to, please grant permission for me to attentively chant Krishna's names. So if we build this submissive attitude, right, in every aspect of our devotional service, then it is possible for the mind to get subdued. Otherwise, the mind can, if it starts acting independently, then it can create chaos, right? So I hope that answers your question. While we keep the do's and don'ts that Rupa Goswami has prescribed in perspective, we shall also understand the context, the overall institution and authority within which we have to function. And we should also act submissively so that we are able to bring the mind under control. I hope that answers your question. Is it okay, Prabhu? Is that something that clarifies your talk? Do you have any follow-up questions? Was it Siddharth Prabhu asked this question?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Siddharth Prabhu, is that answer clear to you? Sorry, I think you're on mute. I don't know if you know you're on mute. So in case you're trying to speak, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, Prabhu, got it. Sorry about that.
Okay, no problem. So if that's clear to you, then that's great. Thank you. Anything else anybody had for me? And let me also be very honest with you. These are all, whatever I'm saying is again based on what I've heard, right? So even I'm not become anybody even close to perfect, right, in some of these things. But the faith is there that if we follow this properly, someday we'll be able to conquer the mind.
Can I ask one question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Prabhu, when it comes to scriptures, how do we interpret the words of sadhus and Krishna? Do we take literally, or are there some places which we have to take figuratively?
Correct. So it is important to understand the context in which some instructions are given. Right? So many times, even Prabhupada, same thing Prabhupada would have said in two different ways. to two different people. It is possible, right? Contextually, certain things that Prabhupada would have mentioned should always not be taken as it is. That's why sometimes, without understanding the context behind why Prabhupada is quoting what he is quoting, we should be very careful to quote those particular verses. Wherever we think that something is being told, which is not what we normally hear, we should immediately go and look at the context in which Prabhupada has actually given that instruction. And then apply, what Prabhupada has mentioned. Otherwise, we can go wrong in terms of how we assimilate the instruction that Prabhupada has given. Of course, if you want to further clarify, we can always, supposing we're reading something and we are not sure whether what we have read is correct or not, we can always ask our authorities, the temple authorities, this is the way we should interpret this, or is there a different way to interpret, so that we are clear in our interpretation. See, what we'll also know by reading Prabhupada books more and more is that at some point in time, right, when we are fairly matured as devotees, we will also be able to understand the mood in which Prabhupada is giving his instructions. The mood of the spiritual master can get revealed to us. So we know that why Prabhupada is saying what he's saying, right? Not that we'll be able to completely understand him, but largely we'll know, okay, if in a particular context Prabhupada has said this, there's some reason why he has said this. It is not that he's whimsically said something. So, well, that's very important for us to. So there should be the context aspect of it is always interesting. Even if you read, sometimes, many times I've seen the WhatsApp group, right? There are portions of a letter which are published, right? And many times when we read it, apparently it gives a different meaning. But if you go back to the original letter and you read the entire contents of the letter, including the question that was asked by the disciple, sometimes you'll get a very different understanding of what Prabhupada was trying to say. Right? So context is very, very important, especially in today's world where, people are used to quoting Prabhupada left, right, center. You pick something, you immediately see it suits you, right? You want to speak something, it suits your convenience, you pick and post it. Right? Be very careful about that, because if you want to go and understand why Prabhupada said what he said, what is the background to that conversation, then we'll be able to place Prabhupada's answer pretty well. So,
Yes, Prabhu. And also, Prabhu, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Canto 5 and Canto 6, that characteristics of women are being spoken about, like how they're pleasing to the ears, and also they are not very intelligent, and they are sometimes also looking for their own self-interest compared to other people's interest. So, but when I look at it practically, Prabhu, I'm not able to relate it sometimes. Like when I look at my mother's life, or when I look at my grandmother's life, I see practically how they have been pious and then sacrificed most of their life for their children. So how do we understand these statements from?
So the scriptures are generally prescriptive, right? They give you an understanding of the circumstances that usually prevail, right? And the circumstances that we are evident to, right? See something from Swami Prabhu. What does he say? There are many stories in Srimad described figuratively. Such allegorical descriptions may not be understood by entity. Therefore, it is the duty of a student to approach a bona fide spiritual master of the dialogue. Yes, that's a nice purport, right? So, these allegorical stories are sometimes given with an intent to drive home a specific message. Now, that message we have to very clearly understand, right? Understanding the message is what is important. The description of some of the contents of that message may be a little difficult for us to comprehend, right? And it may not always apply the same way it is being described. We should know that in the society, these elements exist. Like one of the things, right? What he was asking this question. If you in the first canto, 11th chapter, when Krishna is actually coming to Dwarka from Hastinapur, right? In Dwarka, all the women of Dwarka were welcoming Krishna, right? So it is mentioned there that there were a group of prostitutes who were also there and they were welcoming Krishna. Now, this question can arise that if Krishna is there, Krishna is personally present in Dwarka, Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. How can prostitutes exist in Dwarka?
I mean, this is basic religion or like religion, like
Sorry, bro. What was saying? You're saying something? I think Jay Pro was saying something. I don't know. You're speaking to somebody? Not sure. Okay. So this question can arise, right? Very, I mean, why is there a description of the prostitutes in Dwarka and their glorification of Krishna? Why should it even find a place in the Srimad Bhagavatam? The Bhagavatam could have conveniently avoided those references, right? And portrayed that, the entire society is perfect, right? That's how we are given to understand. Everything, when God exists, everything is perfect. The fact of the matter is, the way we should understand this is, the Shastras are giving a description of everything that prevailed in the society, right? Which means there are positive elements, there are negative elements also. Now, does it mean that because there are negative elements that exist in the society, oh, everything is, completely wrong? Everybody, in that particular society, they are tagged and they should be seen differently. In fact, that description, Prabhupada mentions in the purport, the prostitutes were also, though they were prostitutes, their mind was attracted by Krishna. Right? They were seeing Krishna with a devotional attitude. Right? And there, Prabhupada then goes to mention why, sometimes in a society, such section of or class of people exist. So, the description of the Shastras, or prescription of the Shastras, is to mention everything that exists generally. Right? Now, we should not take something that we are reading there and assume that, everybody is like that, right? Or come to a conclusion that, okay, this is how the society is. Right? It is only the intent of the Shastra is to only give us an understanding of the different classes or sections of people that exist in a community and their general behavioral tendencies. There could always be exceptions. See, that way, if you look at it, why only women? Even men are also self-centered. Right? That's why it is mentioned, whenever we find the word women mentioned in Vedic literature, it doesn't refer to women, the women that we see. It refers to anybody and everybody, because in other way, if you look at it, all of us are also feminine. Right? We are all servants of Krishna. We are actually parts of Prakriti. Right? So that way, all of us have a feminine tendency. Right? So that's why it is mentioned when you say man, women, right? The way we should understand man, women is Purusha and Prakriti. Right? So the description of women need not be tagged to women as we see them. It actually applies to anybody with that feminine tendency. All of us, because we also take pleasure in serving Krishna, right? Our constitutional position is also actually feminine, if you look at it that way. We are trying to become Purusha, and that is our disease, right? So that's why this connotation of man and women, we should also look at it from that perspective. It is not to be seen only from a bodily perspective. It should also be seen from a mental perspective. Of course, people who have that bodily consciousness, they are more inclined to it. The tendency is higher, but that doesn't mean, only they are affected by it. Everybody with that tendency is actually affected by it. So that's why we should very carefully interpret. We should not just assume Purusha. That's why, the Sanskrit way of describing man and women is Purusha and Prakriti. not Admi Aurat. Admi Aurat is more a Hindi description of it, right? Purusha and Prakriti is how it is described actually. Purusha means enjoyer. Prakriti means enjoyed. So anybody in that category of enjoyed, you can equate pretty much all of them at the same level. So we have to understand these descriptions. And accordingly, depending on time, place, circumstances. Of course, it's the reason Shastra is giving us all this knowledge is because the tendency is there for that class of people. Doesn't mean the tendency is not there for the rest of the class. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Kali Yuga, everybody is a Shudra. Right? The minute you classify everyone as a Shudra, the Shudra mentality is, there's no difference between the Shudra mentality and whatever mentality you describe for women. It's the same mentality. We're all of the same mentality, actually. In Kali Yuga, there is no distinction between a male mentality, female mentality, and all. It doesn't exist. Everybody is Shudra mentality. Everyone wants to serve somebody. That's all. Everyone wants to serve somebody, and everyone is bound to be bound by the laws of material nature, bound by the reactions of the modes of passion and ignorance. So, Shudra itself means what? The lower modes, ignorance. Striyo Vaishyas Tata Shudras Tepayanti Paramgatim, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna equates Striya, Vaishya, and Shudra. He says all these three categories of people can also attain liberation by following the path laid out by Krishna. Now, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying everybody is a Shudra, right, then we are not any way different from the other classes. Mami Pyartha Vyapasrityo Yenechu Papa Yonishu Striyo Vaishyas Tata Sudras Epiyantim Paramgatim. Right. So all of us are on that same level. And it doesn't matter, where we belong to. Consciousness wise, we're all in that lower modes. So in Kali Yuga, these formulas don't apply much. That's why probably we don't see the difference also. We think everybody is the same because we are our consciousness is also equally bad.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very clear.
Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, Prabhu, you told in the starting about chanting and attention lesson. So what happens to me that I start chanting after 1-2 minutes, then various thoughts and plans. I have to do this, I have to think it randomly rises. So again, I try hard not to think about it. Like it comes out. So quality is like very low, close to zero. So how to improve?
Yeah. Can somebody go to this verse, Canto 1, Chapter 8, Text 26. So if we go to the purport of that verse. Yeah. Now see here, if somebody can read from consequently. Yeah.
Consequently, okay, anyone wants to read? Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly, O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in the statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement namely, first one, high parentage, 2, good wealth, 3, high education, and 4, attractive beauty are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of Godhead. Sorry, God.
Okay. Now, in this verse, Prabhupada indicates very important point. He says, quality of chanting is very important. He says, quantity is fine, but there is quality also. And he says, quality of chanting is generally possible when one is not attracted to these four aspects, right? Parentage, opulence, high education, bodily beauty. Janma Ishwarya, Shruta Shribir. Edamana, Madapuman. Madapuman means one becomes mad after these four aspects. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, and Shribir. And Prabhupada says a helpless person, he is able to chant the holy name of the Lord with quality. Right? So he says there is a quality of feeling. Right? He mentions that particular verse somewhere. Where is that is mentioned? If you come down, such as there is not the reason, but there is a quality to such utterances also. If you come down, it depends on the quality of feeling. If you can just bold, it depends on the quality of feeling. So what this means is, when we chant Krishna's names, right? Before we take the japa bag into in our hands and start chanting, we should feel ourselves as a servant of Krishna. This 1.5 hours that I'm going to spend in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, how many hour rounds? You're chanting 16 rounds. I'm going to dedicate this 1.5 hours for Krishna only. Every other activity, every other work, any other call, anything that comes at this 1.5 hours, unless it is very urgent, I can attend to it later. Right? The feeling that we should have before we chant our rounds is this feeling that every time I am going to utter Krishna's name, Krishna manifests himself before me. Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. Krishna has made a promise that the chanting of Krishna's names is non-different from Krishna. That means when we chant Krishna's names, Krishna is actually manifesting in your tongue. Rupa Goswami is confirming this. So if Krishna is personally going to be present when you chant his names, how much excited you should be. Right? Imagine Krishna is going to come, is actually appearing every time you chant. How you should feel? You should feel so ecstatic, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Today, we don't feel that ecstasy because that faith is missing. We don't have the faith that Krishna is actually appearing every time I
Prabhu, what
chant Krishna's
happened?
names. Right? Our faith in chanting today is just restricted to this. We have been told, oh, if you chant, your sins will get purified. So chant.
Prabhu, in
But
the starting 1-2 months, it was happening very nicely. Actually, I am started last year, kind of September, August. Yeah, August I started just before Janmashtami. So that August, September was very good. After that, it decreased.
it'll happen. That's why every time we have to remind ourselves that when I'm chanting Krishna's names, Krishna is personally present before me. So only when I hear Krishna's names, I will associate with Krishna. If with this feeling, so when Prabhupada is saying there is a quality to such utterances also, it depends on the quality of feeling. The quality of feeling should be this feeling. This should be our quality of feeling. What should be our quality of feeling? Every time I chant Krishna Nam, Krishna is personally present before me. He is actually right in front of me. He is dancing on my tongue. And when I hear Krishna's names, Krishna, I am actually associating with Krishna. Krishna is entering my ear holes and actually going into my heart. Right?
Yes, Prabhu.
If this feeling, if you are able to chant, so if you go to Antya 199, see how beautifully Rupa Goswami explains. This feeling Rupa Goswami is explaining. I do not know how much nectar the two syllables Krishna have produced. When the holy name of Krishna is chanted, it appears to dance within the mouth. We then desire many, many mouths. When that name enters the holes of the ears, we desire many millions of ears. And when the holy name dances in the courtyard of the heart, it conquers the activities of the mind, and therefore all the senses become inert. You see the feeling with which Rupa Goswami is chanting Krishna's names. Right? This is the quality of chanting. So when Prabhupada is saying quality of chanting, right? This is quality. This is not quantity. Right? In quality, there is quantity. See, he's saying, I want millions of mouths. I want many, many mouths. Similarly, I want many, many millions of ears. So when there is quality, quantity becomes subservient to quality. See, today, automatic. See, today, because the quality is not there, we are giving importance to quantity. Of course, quantity is important, but that quantity is overwhelming us. Oh, if you chant 16 rounds, I think I'm done. Right? But actually, if you focus on quality, you will not even know how your rounds are getting finished. The 16 rounds will be a breeze. By the time with every mantra you chant, right? If you properly hear what you're chanting and you give yourself a tick mark, right? Oh, this mantra I heard properly. Next mantra, next mantra, next mantra. So every mantra as you chant, if you hear, then at the end of your 16 rounds, right? You will feel as if you've had a sumptuous meal. If you've had prasadam sumptuously, how will you feel? That's how we should feel after finishing our rounds. Right? That satisfaction we will know, we will get reflected in our heart, right? The more we chant nicely with quality, right? Prabhupada is saying there is a quality to such feeling.
No,
With
little
quality.
satisfaction I felt sometimes when I have chanted.
But keep doing this. See, the answer to your question is this is a practice that we have to develop. Right? It is not going to, as I said, it's not going to happen in 1 day or 2 days. If you do this properly for 6 months, in 6 months' time, from now on, here it's 23rd March, right? 1st of April. Next 6 months, you try this process of chanting and hearing nicely. You see the difference in terms of your quality of chanting. You will never get bored chanting 16 rounds. In fact, you will want to do more than 16 rounds. See, the test is very simple. When you finish 16 rounds, if you have an intention to chant more, that means your chanting quality is improved. Try this simple test, right? You're chanting 16 rounds, right? Some tips to chant 16 rounds properly. One is finish all the rounds in one shot. Don't break your rounds, because every time you break your rounds,
Not chanting.
you have to again give attention. It becomes difficult, right?
Right now chanting 4 rounds.
To the extent possible, whatever number of rounds you're doing, 4, 8, 16, try and do it all together once, right? Because the mind also is used to getting into some kind of a zone, right? If it gets into that zone, it's easier for the mind to focus. The minute you come out of it and ask it to go back again to it, right, it takes time, right? So if you're in that zone where you feel you're chanting well, finish your 16 rounds in one shot. When you come to your 16th round, right, don't try this now, but try this after a month if you're doing this consistently well. See for yourself whether there is this urge to chant more number of rounds, right? If that urge is there, that means your quality of chanting is improved. If the urge is not there, then you have to do more sadhana. You continue doing this process. Don't worry about how long it takes, but continue doing this practice. You will definitely see Krishna's. See, very simple. We are just following what Prabhupada is saying. Prabhupada is saying, chant here. That's all. We're just following that. We are not inventing something new. Don't think this is some new innovation. It's there in Prabhupada's instructions already. We just have to follow his instructions. Prabhupada is saying, as you chant, you hear. That's all. So that's all. When we do that, there is attentive chanting. Chanting becomes very interesting. If chanting is not becoming interesting, then introspect, right? Think where you've gone wrong. Again, follow the instruction of Prabhupada. Don't worry. Supposing you're chanting Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, 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 Hare. One mantra you chanted. Move on to the next mantra. In the previous mantra, if your mind has gone outside, don't worry about it. In the subsequent mantra, think about how you can hear better. Right? Many times the mind will play tricks. It'll go back to where your mind went, and it will not come back. It will stay there. Right? Let's assume you're thinking about something in the office. You missed hearing one mantra properly. Second mantra, don't try and figure out where your mind went in the previous mantra. Forget about it. In this current mantra, chant here. If you think about where your mind went, then your mind will go deeper into that subject and you will not come back. Right? So what you will slowly realize, if today there are 108 times you are chanting, right? Even 15, 20 times you hear properly, that is success. As you keep doing it, that percentage will keep increasing. And this is sadhana, right? Then probably a day will come where every nama, every word you will be able to hear. That should be our endeavor. When we are starting, our endeavor should be Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. All the 16 syllables we should be able to distinctively hear, right? In the beginning, if it's hard, don't worry. Think the entire Hare Krishna Mahamantra is one name of Krishna and hear that. That's also fine, right? As you go this process consistently and do it properly, a time will come when you're distinctly able to hear each and every name. It will happen. Actually, the more rounds you do, no, your mind will get accustomed to hearing. So we have to train the mind. That's all. This mad mind has to be trained. That's the whole process of bhakti. So try doing this. Don't get disheartened. Don't see your mind is not so easy to control. Prabhupada has given a process. It will work. In fact, if you have this one sankalpa in your mind that every time if I chant and hear, Prabhupada will be pleased because I'm following his instructions, that is also a very good feeling to have. Right? The easiest feeling you can have is, hey, I'm following Prabhupada's instruction by chanting and hearing Krishna's names. Prabhupada is saying, I'm following. That's all. That's the easiest thing you can have in your consciousness. And then it will happen. So every time you say Jai Sri Krishna, pray to Panchatattva to give you strength to hear Krishna's names. So go back to that example that we were discussing, right? We are playing a sport. When you chant and you know what you're chanting and you also know the objective of chanting, naturally your mind will be inclined to be attentive.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Anything else?
Prabhu, one more thing.
Yep.
Actually, Prabhu, as I told you, we are also 5-6 months. So my parents were like, I'm seeing the parents and they are like taunting, like Srila Prabhupada, it's gone, and telling like what will happen if you just tell the names, will it earn you money and this, that, you just work, like various kind of things. Nowadays they have decreased, but still sometimes the other they tell me that.
If you go to 7th canto, 14th chapter, I think verse number 6. Yeah, can you read this verse, this translation?
They have told that Prabhupada and his gone, they are like taking money Then I was like, how can I say this is not ISKCON? And like I didn't say anything.
So that's what Narada Muni is recommending how you should behave. You can read this translation.
Yes, sir. An intelligent man in human society should make his own program of activities very simple. If there are suggestions from his friends, children, parents, brothers, or anyone else, he should externally agree, saying yes, that is all right, but internally he should be determined not to create a cumbersome life in which the purpose of life would not be fulfilled.
Does this answer your question?
Yes, bro, kind of. But bro, if they will tell me that you should not chant so much and you don't like, I apply bhog when I go to home. I live in college normally. 2-3 days I go home, I do my bhoga proper mantras. Then they will, what is this process? We don't know. This is something weird process. This kind of taunt me. So, bro, like, I will do the proper way now, even if they don't do the proper way or if they don't.
Correct. So that's what Narada Muni is saying. Externally, you agree to them. You say, yes, that is all right. But internally, you be determined not to create a cumbersome life. You internally be determined to do what you are doing. Externally, if you feel that saying yes to them will keep them happy, just say, yeah, I understand what you're saying. But, still continue doing. I feel, I just want to do this. So I'll continue doing. Maybe what you're saying is right.
This is correct. What I'm doing, it's written in Gita and Parampara. Can I say like that something to my parents?
It depends on, again, if your parents, if you think you can convince your parents to this program, right? Then you can try doing that. 1 or 2 times, if you tell them, you'll know how they're reacting. If you feel that they're reacting very offensively, then what you do is better not to, keep telling them the same thing over and over again. Because if they're unable to understand what you're saying, then it may be hard for them to follow, right? So you'll have to figure out how you can balance all of this. I'll give you an example. When I was actually pursuing my chartered accountancy course, right? At that time, I was in this city called Coimbatore. Coimbatore is where I was staying. And exactly around the same time is when I got associated with ISKCON, right? So this is ISKCON temple in Coimbatore. So when Mataji came and she preached to me about the soul, body, philosophy and all, very interesting. So I started going to the temple. So once I started going to the temple, I found the philosophy very refreshing, right? So I started reading Prabhupada books, started chanting Krishna's names. So of course, like every other parent, my parents were also very reading, Prabhupada books, chanting. So I tried explaining it to them. It was a little hard for them to understand because they were worried that their child, their son, or their whoever is their children, they should not take this process seriously and then give up everything. That's the fear that the parents usually have. So what I decided to do was, of course, I had inclination to do this. So after I used to finish my computer classes, I used to go to the temple directly. And if there was some service in the temple, I used to do that service in the temple. I never used to tell my parents where I was going. Right? From their perspective, it looked like I was going to some class and was coming back and I was doing my my normal routine. But I had other plans that, whenever I had an opportunity to go do some service to the Vaishnavas, spend some time, take some devotees to some bank, some government offices that they wanted to go. I used to come back. All the while when I was doing that service, I used to think, oh, yeah, if somehow they spot me somewhere, because Coimbatore is a small town. My father used to drive along different places in Coimbatore. So I always had this fear that, if he spots me somewhere, what will happen? I used to pray to Krishna, somehow you help me manage the situation. So there was never a time when my parents actually found out, right? So every time, almost every day, I used to go to the temple, come back, and do my regular activities of studying, whatever. So we'll have to intelligently handle this situation, right? We'll have to figure out, of course, there are ways by which you can convince your parents. Try doing that. Right? But if you think it will cause a lot of disruption, try and see how you can do your activities in a way it is not too apparent for them to see. Right? Sometimes what we do is we also read books in front of them. Silently go in your room, read your books. Right? You can figure out ways to do your program in a simple fashion and not trying to make it very apparent to them, right? In terms of them seeing it, knowing it, and all that. That's when they become a little worried about it.
Nowadays, they're not like kind of telling anything. Previously, when I started, I never telling. But still, yeah, something is there when I apply prasadam. Then, like sometimes I don't apply. I come home later, so they do their way, which is not proper. So, like I go to tell them about to say that, like I have to eat them. Like I will say that I have to apply prasad, then they will tell no, it is being done. So how can I say no, no, I have to apply proper one? Like what should I do in that case? Bro?
Prasadam, you say?
Uh, what bro?
You mentioned prasadam, is it?
Yes, bro. Prasad.
Prasadam, see, as long as you're cooking food without onion and garlic, right?
Yes, bro. That is very,
That
very.
is, yeah,
They
so that is
mostly.
okay. That is a step in the right direction, right? So take it step by step, right? See, a lot of parents even don't agree to that, right? They will not agree to cook without onion and garlic. So if they're doing that, and if they're giving you conviction that they've already offered it as prasad, on good faith, you can take it. Always offer your prayers to Krishna and then take the prasad.
From starting only, they are like very like I can say monthly once or twice they cook with onion garlic. Mostly it is not on onion garlic. And yeah, when it is possible, I like food has been cooked, then I take to prasadam and then proper way and when it is not possible, I come later. Then they do by their own way. Like they Prabhu, they say Shri Krishna Arpan something, and my grandmother says that it is good, and my parents are good.
Hey, you can try to tell them the proper way of offering food to the Lord. Right? Say it very in a manner which doesn't affect their ego. Right? You can probably do it one or two times along with them. Or you can tell them to just chant the Hare Krishna mantra and offer it to Krishna. That's the easiest thing, right? For them to chant Prabhupada mantra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mantra, and all that may be a little new. But chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and offering food to the Lord is a good way to properly start. Start.
Like Vogue is better. It's a good way to do. I don't know they are doing.
Okay, if they're giving you confidence that they're doing, right? Start there and slowly try and inculcate some of these habits. See, the principle that we should keep in mind, Prabhu, sometimes what happens is, in the initial stages, right, we are also, in the interest of trying to do too many things, we make things very apparent to them, right? We should be very careful and intelligently. What we should do is we should tick all the boxes that we want them to tick, right? Chanting, prasadam, book reading, all these we should be able to achieve in a day without bringing necessarily everything to their attention or light, right?
Yes.
It's very, very contextual. That's why how to manage parents, right? Nobody can write a book
Try our best.
because it's very contextual.
Yeah.
So some parents are very different, right? So you have to figure out, okay, am I able to chant my rounds properly? Am I able to have prasadam at least once a day, right? In a manner in which you want to have? Are you able to read proper books, right? Are you able to do a lot of these things well? Is how you should measure your progress. And within that ambit, right? Yeah. Within that ambit, how do you convince your parents? To that extent, if you convince, it is enough. If you overdo, you will get caught. Right. So,
one thing it is improved. But previously they were telling us, why are not taking alcohol now? They was telling me lecture. But nowadays I have seen they have being cooked food like some we used to say chokha, like actually it's mashed potatoes and onion they make. So I come to eat, and they were like, yeah, this is for you. We have made it without onion. So
nice. That is good. That is good. So that is perfectly fine. See, if they're making something for you without onion garlic, accept it. No, that's fine.
Like my grandmother also, it's not. So they start to make my rice. So this improvement.
Yeah. So that's a good starting point, bro. So if they're giving you food without onion garlic, start there. First, start consuming food without onion garlic. Then move to the next stage, right? How you can have it as offered to Krishna. So move step by step, right? So that for them also it becomes easier to relate with you. And then always keep praying to Prabhupada and Krishna to help you, right? So prayers with endeavor, it will always be fruitful. That's how we should think about
Thank you.
it. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
So, Hare Krishna. I think I was asked to present on the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu today. So maybe I'll probably take an hour and present on the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sami Prabhu, is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu, please. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll try and keep it something which we can, as a conversation to the extent possible, right? Because we talk about some of the significant pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Especially, I thought we'll focus on the Madhya Leela. Right? Madhya Leela pastimes, we'll focus on the first 12 to 13 chapters. We'll talk about very briefly, right? And we'll cover some very important pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And from there, we can, if there are any follow-up questions, conversations, we can have around that. Right? Probably use the next 1 hour for that. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Dadaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. So the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are always nectarian. Actually, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is mentioned, Shinvata Shinvata Nityam Giyata Giyata Muda Chintyata Chintyata Bhaktya Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shinvata Shinvata Nityam. One should constantly hear the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shinvata Shinvata Nityam Giyatam Giyatam Muda. One should constantly sing about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chintyatam Chintatam Bhakta. One should constantly contemplate on the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is the sum and substance of the message of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Right? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami so beautifully explains what Chaitanya Charitamrita is made up of. And as we all know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the most munificent of all incarnations. In fact, yesterday was a very auspicious day. It was the appearance of Srivas Thakur, one of the very close associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. His appearance day was celebrated yesterday. This entire month, right, we've had Advaita, starting from Advaita Acharya's appearance, then Mahaprabhu's appearance, then Srivas Thakur's appearance. So the Pancha Tattvas, right, play a very important role in propagating this message to the fallen souls in this age of Kali. Pancha Tattva Makam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shakti Guru. So the 5 expansions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 5 expansions of Krishna, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Thakur are the most merciful incarnations of the Lord. And as you all know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in this world only to relish. Of course, there are various reasons why the Lord appeared. One important internal reason why the Lord appeared was to relish the prema that Srimati Radharani had towards Krishna. That is the primary internal reason why the Lord appeared. The external reason why the Lord appeared was to propagate the Harinam Sankirtan, the holy name of Krishna, to every town and village. So these are the 2 reasons, one internal and one external reason why the Lord appeared. Of course, the internal reasons are further broken down into other aspects. But primarily, if you look at it, the Lord, after he finished his pastimes, Krishna, when he finished his pastimes in Dwapar Yuga, and when he went back to Goloka Vrindavan, he was contemplating and thinking, how is it possible for these gopis, and especially amongst the gopis, Srimati Radharani, to have so much love for me? So much so that I am unable to repay that love. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna made a promise, right? He said, Ye yatamam prapadyante, tams tataiva bhajati avam. Right? We all know this verse. What is Krishna saying there? Krishna is saying, as somebody serves me, I reciprocate to them accordingly. This is Krishna's promise. Krishna is making a promise in the Bhagavad Gita. If you serve me, I will reciprocate you. Something that we're all aware of. Now, if you go to the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you go to Canto 10, chapter, I think it's 33. Even. Can you go to the last verse of the 10th canto, 32nd chapter? Let me see if that's the one. Not 33. It's 32. Okay, 10, 32, 22. Okay. Can somebody read the translation?
I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service. Even within a lifetime of Brahma, your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation.
So here you see Krishna is actually failing in his promise. In chapter 4, text 11 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, whatever, howsoever you render devotional service to me, I will reciprocate you. But in Canto 10, chapter 32, text 22, Krishna is admitting his defeat to the gopis. He's saying to the gopis, I am not able to repay my debt for your spotless service, even within a lifetime of. So this is the unique position of the gopis. The gopis are able to force Krishna to break his own promise of not being able to repay the debt to them. You see how much love the gopis have. So Krishna was wondering, how is it possible for them to have this kind of um, a love and devotion to me? And so to understand this devotion, Krishna decided that he will take the mood of the gopis, and amongst the gopis, the mood of Srimati Radharani, and appear again in Kali Yuga to experience that love and devotion that Srimati Radharani had for Krishna. Why is it that I am unable to repay this debt to them? Why am I unable to do anything to them? How is it that they have so much love and devotion? So to find this out, Krishna appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So you see the transition from Krishna Leela to Gaur Leela. Krishna Leela and Gaur Leela are connected to each other. They are not independent of each other. Where Krishna Leela stops, Gaur Leela begins. Right? So this is the unique position of the gopis of Vrindavan. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on this planet to fulfill this internal reason that he had to understand the mood of Srimati Radharani. That's why he assumed the mood of Radharani, right? And his complexion was golden in color, though he was Krishna himself. Anarpitam charim charat karaniya karunaya avatiranav kalu samarpayitam unnada ujjvala rasam swabhakti prishriyam. Radha Krishna pranaya shaktir aladini shaktir ashmat ekat manav apibhuvi puho deha bedam gadauto. Chaitanyakyam prakatabaduna tadvayam chaikyam aptam Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. See, Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. That Supreme Personality of God Krishna took the bhava of Srimati Radha. Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam Naumi Krishna Swarupam. His Swarupa was Krishna, because his mood was that of Srimati Radha. And this combination of Radha and Krishna was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's why it is a transcendental mathematics. You see, one Krishna expands himself as Srimati Radharani. Now that Krishna and Radharani merge together and become Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Now that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then expands himself as four other personalities, they all become Panchatattva. So one becomes two becomes one becomes five. Right? And this is possible only in the spiritual world. not possible in the material world. So, such is the description of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as to why Mahaprabhu appeared on this planet. Now, as you all know, there are three sections of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is compiled by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. The first section is called Adi Leela, and the second and third section, they are called Madhya Leela and Antya Leela. Together, they are called Shesha Leela. So, the Adi Leela talks about the initial pastimes of the Lord until the point when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the first 24 years of his life are described in the Adi Leela. And the next 24 years of his life is described in the Shesha Leela, which comprises of the Madhya Leela and the Antya Leela. That's why in the Adi Leela, it talks about all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu until the point he took sannyas. After he took sannyas, the remaining 24 years, that is described in Madhya Leela and Antya Leela, which together is called Shesha Leela. When Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compiled the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Adi Leela was compiled based on the recording of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes written by Murari Gupta. So Murari Gupta was one confidential servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was, according to the Gaur Ganadesh Deepika, which is written by Kavi Karnapur. Murari Gupta was Hanuman himself. So Hanuman appeared as Murari Gupta. And he recorded the Adi Leela pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which was then recorded, and then that was the inspiration for Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami to elaborate the Adi Leela. The Shesha Leela, which is the Madhya and the Antya Leela, the recording of those pastimes was done by Swarup Damodar Goswami. Right. And according to the Gaur Ganadesh Deepika, written by Kavi Karnapur, Swarup Damodar Goswami was none other than Lalita Sakhi in Krishna Leela. So Lalita Sakhi in Krishna Leela was born as Swarup Damodar Goswami. And because Swarup Damodar Goswami is the personal secretary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he recorded all the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as described in the Madhya and Antya Leela. And that was the inspiration for Kaviraj Goswami to compile the Antya and Madhya Leela. The Madhya and Antya Leela. So today we will spend some time on the Madhya Leela. As you know, the Adi Leela is has about 17 chapters, right? And the first 7 chapters of Adi Leela are all elaborate explanations of the Mangalacharan prayers. So in the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita starts with Mangalacharan prayers. In fact, I think the first 12 verses are all prayers, which is offered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. And an elaborate description of those prayers is the subject matter of the first 7 chapters. The next 5 chapters in the Adi Leela talk about the desire tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the different devotees that appeared in the lineage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or as associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then chapters 12 to 17 in the Adi Leela, it talks about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his childhood pastimes, his meeting with Keshav Kashmiri, the civil disobedience movement that he started against Chankasi, and then him finally taking sannyas, right? All those aspects are covered in the remaining section of Adi Leela. That's why Adi Leela has got 17 chapters. Now, Madhya Leela has got about 25 chapters, first about 25 chapters. And the Madhya Leela starts with Kaviraj Goswami giving a summary of the next 24 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. Because Kaviraj Goswami, when he wrote this Chaitanya Charitamrita, he wrote this at a very advanced stage. He was more than close to about 94, 95 years old when he compiled this Chaitanya Charitamrita on the banks of Radhakund So the banks of Radhakund, Kaviraj Goswami was inspired by Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu came in the dream of Kaviraj Goswami, and he inspired Kaviraj Goswami to go to Radhakund, and at the banks of Radhakund hear from Raghunath Das Goswami about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Raghunath Das Goswami, as you all know, was one of the 6 Goswamis, and he was also a very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who worked under the care and direction of Swarupa Damodar Goswami. And because Swarup Damodar Goswami was recording these pastimes well, Raghunath Das Goswami was also privy to the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in Radhakund, Raghunath Das Goswami was spending time describing the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was part of the audience, was hearing to the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at a very, very advanced stage. It is said that Kaviraj Goswami was so old when he was compiling this Chaitanya Charitamrita that his eyes used to close by themselves. He was so old that he had to actually open his eyelids to see and write Chaitanya Charitamrita. You see how advanced a devotee he was. This compilation is no ordinary compilation. He was so old that his eyelids would just close by itself. And every time he had to open and see for himself and then write. So Kaviraj Goswami took inspiration from Raghunath Das Goswami. He took the blessings of Radha Govind and the predominating deities in Vrindavan. He compiled this very beautiful literature called Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the Madhya Leela, because Kaviraj Goswami was so old, he was not sure whether he'll be able to live to write this entire literature. So out of his humility, he decided that he will give a summary of the next 24 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes in the first section of Madhya Leela itself, so that even if he is unable to live through writing the beautiful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, at least the readers will get benefit because he would have finished writing the summary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. Just see how great the Acharyas are. He could have easily, his whole intent of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was to somehow enable the audience to actually get this message or the life history of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu out. He was not interested in his own name or fame. So in a hurry, he is trying to summarize. What will happen if I die? People in this fallen age of Kali will not get access to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So somehow I should write this. Somehow I should compile this. Somehow I should give this message to the fallen souls in this age of Kali, so that by reading the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they will all go back to the spiritual world. So this is the intent that Kaviraj Goswami had, which is why he painstakingly repeated, though he wanted to describe this in detail, he took the pain of repeating the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in a summary form, so that every reader is benefited. This is the special mercy of the Acharyas. The Acharyas are so benevolent that they're always looking at opportunities to somehow save all the fallen souls. We have all become Bahirmukha. We have all turned away from Krishna. The Acharyas are trying to make us turn towards Krishna. If we go to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 5, Text 3, there it is explained, how the Acharyas are thinking.
Prabhu, can you say the number again?
353. See, Janasya Moham, so you see the Sanskrit. Janasya Krishna Vimukasya Devar, Adharmashilasya Sudo Kitasya, Anugrahayena Charanti Nunam, Bhutani Bhavyani Janardanasya. So you see the translation. Oh my Lord, great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. We are all averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. And that's why great philanthropic souls travel. So somebody was asking this question. And Srila Prabhupada translated the Bhagavad Gita. And I think some of you would have read the Bhagavad Gita, right? Even right from the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is talking to Arjuna about Sankhya Yoga, or in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is talking to Arjuna about Karma Kanda, Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, all these other different types of yoga. Prabhupada in his purport would have already started writing about Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada would have made an attempt to surpass the translation that Krishna is giving in the Bhagavad Gita to present the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga. You seen that? Now, why Prabhupada did that? The reason Prabhupada did that, a lot of people sometimes they say this, sometimes even criticize. Why is it that Prabhupada is translating Karma Yoga as Bhakti Yoga? Of course, Karma Yoga is Bhakti Yoga. The reason Prabhupada did that was because even if somebody reads only one verse of Bhagavad Gita and doesn't have the patience to go over every other verse of Bhagavad Gita, still that individual soul should get benefited by understanding who's Krishna. So that's why Prabhupada never missed an opportunity to bring in his purports the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, even though at times it may not have necessarily been relevant to the translation that is given to the verse. This is the mercy of great souls. Prabhupada could have thought, what if I don't survive the tenure of this Bhagavad Gita? Still, I should be in a position to give the message of Krishna consciousness to everyone. So this is the heart of pure devotees of the Lord. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was one such personality, great personality. And so that's why the beginning section of the Madhya Leela has a summary of the last 24 years of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes. So, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to visit Vrindavan. So he was planning to travel to Vrindavan. As he was planning to travel to Vrindavan, Nityananda Prabhu tricked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So instead of traveling to Vrindavan, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu traveled to Shantipur in Mayapur, closer to Mayapur. Nityananda Prabhu convinced Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Shantipur is Vrindavan and the Ganges water that is flowing in Shantipur is actually Yamuna and not Ganga. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was tricked. And this way Nityananda Prabhu took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Advaita Acharya's house in Shantipur. And there Advaita Acharya, as we all know, he prepared a very big feast for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And there were very intimate pastimes that happened between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Acharya. In fact, that place of Advaita Acharya's house, where Advaita Acharya's house is now in Shantipur, that used to be the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Acharya used to meet regularly to discuss about how they should preach this philosophy of Chaitanya, preach this philosophy of Krishna consciousness to every town and village. That used to be their meeting point where they used to strategize and discuss how preaching has to be done. It's a very wonderful place. In fact, when before Srila Prabhupada left for the Western world, Prabhupada used to visit that place in Shantipur, and with tears in his eyes, he used to chant and offer obeisances to Advaita Acharya, so that by the strength of Advaita Acharya, who had the strength to call Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this world, that same Advaita Acharya Prabhupada took as an inspiration, prayed to him profusely, so that he could take this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to the Western world. And after taking blessings from Advaita Acharya is when Prabhupada decided to leave on a cargo ship to America, and then the rest is history, we all know. So such is the potency of this very beautiful place called Shantipur, where Advaita Acharya resided. So after visiting Shantipur, at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mother, Sachi Devi, she was residing in Bengal, and she was obviously very disappointed to know that her son had taken sannyas. Right? Uh, see, every mother, every parent, uh, even if a mother as great as Sachi Mata, she experienced this pain. We can imagine. It's very normal for people in the materialistic sphere of things to be concerned about their children. It's a normal mentality that everybody has. Of course, Sachi Mata was also a great devotee of the Lord. And so on Sachi Mata's request, Sachi Mata requested that, you know, Vishwarup, who's your elder brother, he has taken sannyas, he is left home. Have you also taken sannyas? This pain is unbearable for me. And so she wanted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to reside close to Bengal and not go to Vrindavan. So on his mother's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that he will reside in Jagannath Puri and he will not go to Vrindavan. So that's how that agreement was reached. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to travel to Jagannath Puri. And en route to Jagannath Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, some of his associates, they traveled to this place called Remuna. So Remuna is in Orissa. And there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told all his followers about the story of Madhavendra Puri. Right? So we all know Madhavendra Puri, the spiritual master of Ishvara Puri. And Ishvara Puri was the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Madhavendra Puri was a great devotee of the Lord. So much so that Gopinath personally stole some sweet rice and which was kept for his offering. Gopinath kept it separately so that Madhavendra Puri could actually take it and honor it. So the incident was like this, and very briefly I'll tell you the story, and then some of you would have read this in greater detail. So when Madhavendra Puri visited this very beautiful deity of Gopinath, at that time the pujari was offering some sweet rice. When Madhavendra Puri looked at that sweet rice, he immediately thought to himself, how nice it would be if, Krishna honored this. And then, after Krishna's honored it, if I get an opportunity to honor it, how nice it would be. This is a thought that struck Madhavendra Puri. When Madhavendra Puri thought this way, immediately he felt ashamed. He felt, what? I'm thinking of enjoying something? And he started, feeling very, very morose about, how such a thinking came to him that, he was trying to actually enjoy the prasadam of Gopinath. And so he left that place immediately, Madhavendra Puri, and he went and sat down in a nearby market. And all the while, he was contemplating and feeling ashamed of what he was thinking. Because the way Madhavendra Puri thought about his thinking was, he felt ashamed that he wanted to enjoy Krishna's property without even asking permission from the devotees. He was thinking of enjoying something that was offered to Krishna. So Madhavendra Puri felt it was not right. And he was trying to do this when the offering was about to be made. The offering was about to be made when because Madhavendra Puri, by chance, he came to know that sweet rice was offered. He mentally started accepting that sweet rice, right? And this he felt was offensive, right? And he was in complete remorse. He went and sat down in a nearby market. I was feeling very sad about how he was thinking about just this particular incident. But Gopinath was very merciful. Gopinath knew that Madhavendra Puri was a pure devotee. So that night, when the offering was made, Gopinath, he hid one pot of sweet rice behind him, behind his deity. And the other pots were offered back to the pujari. So the pujari thought, one pot was missing. So he's contemplating what happened. And that night, of course, there are more details to the story, but I'm just trying to briefly tell you. Gopinath appeared in the dream of that pujari and told the pujari that there is this devotee by name Madhavendra Puri who's sitting in the marketplace. You should go, that there's one pot of sweet rice which is behind my deity form. please take it and offer it to Madhavendra. So the Pujari did as he was instructed. And when Madhavendra Puri came to know about this, he became completely ecstatic. And his devotion to Gopinath only multiplied more and more. So this story, this pastime, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining to Nityananda Prabhu and some of his other associates who were traveling with him to Jagannath Puri. And they all relished this beautiful pastime of the Lord. So after finishing the darshan of, so that's why that Gopinath even today is called Kira Chora Gopinath, Shira Chora Gopinath. That Gopinath who stole sweet rice. So even today, if you go there to the temple, they offer sweet rice as prasadam in a small pot. And you can relish that. It is offered to Gopinath every day. And the remnants of that prasadam can be taken. So after having darshan of this beautiful form of Shirachora Gopinath, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu started walking towards Jagannath Puri. So on the way to Jagannath Puri, they landed at this place called Vidyanagara. I think it's very close to Jagannath Puri. If you've seen the deity of Sakshi Gopal near Puri, so they came to that place. So there, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then started discussing about the story of the deity of called Sakshi Gopal. I'm sure some of you know the story of Sakshi Gopal, right? Where the Lord himself was a witness to a promise that was made by a elderly Brahmin person to a younger Brahmana. Right? Very briefly, the story is like this, right? In a village, there was an elderly gentleman who was living there. There was a young Brahmin who was also living in that same village. So this elderly gentleman was a devotee. He wanted to travel on a yatra and take darshan of Krishna. So this younger Brahmana promised to accompany him. So they went to various places of pilgrimage and they came to this temple of Gopal, which was closer to Jagannath Puri. And they had darshan of Gopal. While they were having darshan of Gopal, this elderly gentleman, elderly person, he made a promise to the younger Brahmana. He told the younger Brahmana, so you have taken all pains to take me through these various places of pilgrimage. So I make a promise before this Gopal that whatever you ask, I'll give you. The younger Brahmana, he was not expecting this, but nevertheless, because he said this, okay, he said fine. And he went back. So after he came back, right, there is this situation that came up where this elder Brahmana, this elder gentleman was taken on a pilgrimage. He had a daughter who had to get married. So he was thinking that, this young Brahmana would be a suitable bridegroom for this daughter. So he went and told without asking his son, he also had a son, but he never asked his son. He went and told the younger Brahmana that, I can offer my daughter in marriage to you if you are interested. The Brahmana said, okay, I'll marry you. No problem, because you're also a very respectable person. So your daughter should also be very respectable, so marry you. So that promise was made. Now the son was not happy with his decision. So the son said, the son was protesting against his father. But his father said, no, I made a promise to this Brahmana. And before the deity of Gopal, I've told that whatever he asks for, I'll give him. But this explanation was not convincing to this son. Son said that you made some promise before some deity. All that is not valid. I want to change this decision. So he went and told the younger Brahmana, the Brahmana, that I don't think my sister can be married to you. My father is, because he's old, he's mentioned something, without properly thinking about it. Let's go back in our decision. This younger Brahmana is very firm. He said, so your father has promised before the deity of Gopal, right? And so whatever promise he's made before the deity of Gopal, he said he'll fulfill that promise. How can you go back against it? But this son said, I don't believe in such promises. how do you know that he made a promise before Gopal? Can you prove that? So the younger Brahmana said, if I prove it, will you accept this proposal? And the son said, no, yeah, I can accept the proposal. But first of all, you prove it, then let's see. So the younger Brahmana, what he did, he went all the way to this temple of Gopal, and he personally invited. Actually, this original temple of Gopal, as it is now in Jagannath Puri, earlier it was not in Jagannath Puri, it was in Andhra Pradesh. It was in a place called Vijayanagara. It was then later on shifted because of the Mughal invention and the Muslim invasion. It was shifted closer to Jagannath Puri. The original Gopal deity was actually in Andhra Pradesh. It was in a place called Vijayanagara. That's where this incident happened. So this young Brahmana then went to that Gopal deity and prostrated and paid obeisances to Gopal deity and told the Gopal deity, see, there was a promise that was made before you. You were evidence to that promise. Can you come and prove to that elderly gentleman's son that this promise was actually made? Gopal agreed to this Brahman's proposal. In fact, he spoke to this Brahman and he said, you start walking to your village and I'll follow you. And so he went, Gopal accompanied him. The son was astonished to see the beautiful form of Gopal personally coming and giving evidence to the fact that a promise was made. And then the son had no option but to get the sister married. Right. So that Gopal was, after this incident, named as Sakshi Gopal. And the temple was then shifted to a place closer to Jagannath Puri. A king who was part of that province, there's another story related to how that temple got shifted to near a place nearer to Jagannath Puri. But we will probably, for paucity of time, we'll not go into details of that story. So this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described this particular incident. And from there, he went to Jagannath Puri along with Nityananda Prabhu. On the way, Nityananda Prabhu, what he did, he took the sannyas danda of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he broke it into pieces and threw it into the water of the Ganges. Nityananda Prabhu did this because he felt that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was already on a transcendental plane. So there's no need for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to carry a danda. This is a pastime of the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally reached this very beautiful temple of Jagannath Puri. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the form of Jagannath, because Mahaprabhu was in the mood of Radharani, he was immediately reminded of Krishna's presence in front of him. Right. So it was as if Radharani was seeing Krishna after a very long time. So this mood is called Vipralamba Bhav. In technical terms, it's called Vipralamba Bhav. Vipralamba Bhav means the feeling of ecstasy that is manifested because of separation from the Lord. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited Vipralamba in the mood of Radharani when he saw Jagannath. So Jagannath was the object of worship, which was Krishna himself. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the Swarupa of Krishna, in the mood of Radharani, he is seeing Krishna, as Radha would see Krishna. So he immediately fell unconscious and fell to the ground. So then there was a devotee called Gopinath Acharya. He took Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house. And that's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got a chance to meet Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a very great Vedantist who was staying in Jagannath Puri. So the discussion between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is very interesting. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because he was a Vedantist, he did not very much appreciate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood of falling unconscious before the deities of Lord Jagannath. He felt that Mahaprabhu was too sentimental. And as a sannyasi, Mahaprabhu should not be sentimental. Right? Yes, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was an incarnation of Brahaspati. That is correct. So Brahaspati was the chief amongst the 7 sages. So in the Gaur Ganesh Desh Deepika, it is mentioned that he was incarnation of Brahaspati. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was trying to see if there was a possibility to rectify Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he did not appreciate his mood. So he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his house and he spoke to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 7 days continuously on the topics of Vedanta. He was trying to establish that the ultimate truth in Vedic wisdom is the understanding of Brahman, the impersonal conception of God. And this was his philosophy. And Mahaprabhu heard this throughout without responding to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya for 7 days. He continuously heard, he did not respond. At the end of the seventh day, Bhattacharya was inquisitive to understand what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was thinking through. He asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, "So you've not asked me one single question. You've been hearing my description of Vedanta, but you've not protested to it. May I know whether you're convinced about my philosophy?" That's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened his conversation with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And he started giving very clear explanation for the points that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had mentioned, disproving Bhattacharya's understanding of the absolute being impersonal. The various references that Mahaprabhu gave from the Vedanta and also from the references that Bhattacharya himself gave to further clarify the explanation of some of those verses in the Vedanta. Like, for example, because the Vedanta uses this phrase called nirguna, it doesn't mean that nirguna doesn't mean devoid of all qualities. It means devoid of all material qualities. So like this, Mahaprabhu clarified the various Vedic references that Bhattacharya gave to drive home the point that worshipping Krishna as a person is the topmost platform. So when Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya heard of the explanations of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was completely convinced. So much so that after this incident, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would bring prasadam from the Jagannath temple, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was a great Vedantist and used to follow the rigid rules of Vedanta so much. He accepted the prasad given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu even without taking bath. Because he had developed love for Krishna. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very much appreciated this action by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So this is a transformation that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brought to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Gopinath Acharya was very favorable to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Was very happy to see this because he knew that the understanding that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had on Vedanta was not very correct. And we always thought that if Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya could meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then he will be able to appreciate the real philosophy of the absolute truth. So Mahaprabhu was able to create a very positive influence on Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. After this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to travel to South India. Right. So between the age of 24 to 30, Mahaprabhu toured extensively to the southern part of India. Right. So that the description of his travel is delineated in the Madhya Kanda section of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided that he should go to South India. But he was not very keen to take a lot of followers along with him. So the devotees amongst themselves, they decided that Kala Krishnadas was one devotee was there, one associate was there. They thought they'll make him as a servant of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because you'll be traveling to so many places, you will need somebody to assist you. Right? You cannot do it all by yourselves. So somehow they convinced Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to take Kala Krishnadas along with him. Otherwise, Mahaprabhu was not interested in taking anybody along. He wanted to just focus his attention on preaching. But because the other devotees convinced Mahaprabhu, Krishnadas accompanied Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first, he traveled to Alarnath, right? And after spending some time in Alarnath, of course, you all know the deities of Alarnath is very close to Jagannath Puri. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to visit Alarnath when he couldn't take darshan of Jagannath before the Rath Yatra. Because when the Lord, just before the Rath Yatra, the Lord undergoes uh, treatment, right, for the apparent fever that he's inflicted with. At that time, darshan is not available. So at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go to Alarnath, have darshan of the deity there. So the Lord started his journey by first going to Alarnath, and then he took a tour to South India. So first place he went was the Kurma Kshetra. Went to a place called Kurma Kshetra, where he met a Brahmana there. Now this Brahmana was very interested in joining Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. He was a householder, he was a family man, and he wanted to give up everything and joined Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not encourage him to do that. He told him that, it is better you stay where you are and you chant Krishna's names nicely. Right? He said, doing this will be very pleasing to Krishna. Right? So if you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 7:128, right? So there you can see the instruction given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to this Brahmana. यारे देखो तारे कहो Krishna Upadesh. Amar Agya Guru Hana Tarai. This is a very famous verse that Prabhupada used to quote. So this is the advice that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to that Brahmana in the Kurma Kshetra. Instruct everyone to follow the orders of Lord Sri Krishna as he given in the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. In this way, become a spiritual master and try to liberate everyone. So whether one is a Brahmana, whether one is a Brahmachari, Kshatriya, Vaishya, it doesn't matter. Mahaprabhu, through this example of his instructions to this Grahastha devotee, told him and gave him clear instructions that Yare Deko Tare Kaho Krishna. Whomever you meet, give instructions of Krishna. If you go to the next verse, Mahaprabhu further says, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kabuna Bhaibe Tomar Vishay Tarang, Purna Piyai Tani, Pape Morashan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu further advised the Brahmana Kurma, if you follow this instruction, your materialistic life at home will not obstruct your spiritual advancement. Indeed, if you follow these regulative principles, we will again meet here, or rather, you will never miss me. See, this is how we keep constant company of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we keep preaching Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction, then our materialistic life at home will not obstruct our spiritual advancement. Indeed, by following this, we will again meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So the purport Prabhupada says, this is an opportunity for everyone. If one simply follows the instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu under the guidance of his representative and chants the Hare Krishna mantra, teaching everyone as far as possible the same principle, the contamination of materialistic way of life will not even touch him. It does not matter whether one lives in a holy place like Vrindavan, Navadvip, or Jagannath, or in the midst of European cities, where the materialistic way of life is very good. If a devotee follows the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he lives in the company of the Lord. Wherever he lives, he converts that place into Vrindavan and Navadvip. This means that materialism cannot touch him. This is the secret of success for one advancing in Krishna consciousness. This is the secret of success. So, this is the instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to the Kurma Brahmin. And then he left that place, and from there on, he met he met a leper, a person who was suffering from leprosy. His name was Vasudeva. So to him also, he preached a very similar message. He told him that you should continue chanting Krishna's names and lead a very pious life. Right? So like this, Mahaprabhu traveled from there. From there, he traveled to Tirupati. He had darshan of Lord Balaji. He participated in Harinam Sankirtan. He then traveled to Ahobila, right, where there is a Narasimha Kshetra. So there are various places of pilgrimage that Mahaprabhu traveled. And at that time, when the Chaturmasya time came, Mahaprabhu visited Sriranga Kshetra, which is very close to Kaveri, right? Mahaprabhu visited the holy town of Sriranga Kshetra. Now, before he visited Sriranga Kshetra, there's one very important incident that happened in Mahaprabhu's life. What is that? In fact, you could probably say that was the most important thing that happened. Even before he he started, he visited Sriranga Kshetra. He went to this. He went to the banks of Godavari and met this very great devotee called Ramananda Rai. So Ramananda Rai, as you might know, was Vishaka Saki in Krishna Lila. So Vishaka Saki in Krishna Lila, according to the Gaur Ganadesh Deepika, was born as Ramananda Rai. And that's when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a very, very detailed discussion with Ramananda Rai. So Ramananda Rai was actually a governor of that province. So he was a very senior government representative of that province along the banks of river Godavari. That place is called Vidyanagara. Right? And that's where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Ramananda Rai. Now, because Ramananda Rai, such an exalted devotee, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took the position of somebody who wanted to understand the greatest philosophy from him. And because Ramananda Rai was Vishaka Saki, actually this was a meeting between Radharani and Vishaka Saki. From the vision of Krishna Lila, this was actually a meeting between Srimati Radharani and Vishaka Saki, discussing the confidential aspects of the conjugal love, or the Madhurya Rasam that the gopis had towards Krishna. So, from the perspective of rasa or mood, this is a very confidential discussion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu thought it was apt to ask Vishaka Saki, who has taken the form of Ramananda Rai, to explain the highest platform of devotional service. You see, it is only Lalita Saki and Vishaka Saki who knew about the mood of Radharani more than anybody else in Krishna Lila. And that's why when the Lord appeared as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with Radha Bhav, he particularly surrounded himself with these two associates, Swarup Damodar Goswami and Ramananda, Lalita Saki and Vishaka Saki. Even towards the end of his pastimes, Mahaprabhu had a very close relationship with Ramananda Rai and Swarup Damodar Goswami, because it was only they who could understand the inner mood, the love, the emotions that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was expressing. So this discussion between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very interesting, right? Actually, when Ramananda Rai saw Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a sannyasi, he was struck with wonder. He immediately went and offered obeisances to Mahaprabhu. He fell down flat like a rod. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately asked him to stand up, and he asked him to chant the holy name of Krishna. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very eager to embrace Ramananda Rai, but Ramananda Rai felt that he was not qualified to be embraced. He said, I am a governor, I am a very low servant, I belong to the Shudra community. When he said this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced him even more firmly. And both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, they were almost unconscious due to ecstatic love. The kind of love that they were, their natural love for each other was awakened and they embraced each other and fell to the ground. So when the Brahmanas, the stereotyped ritualistic Brahmanas, when they saw this meeting between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, they were not able to understand this. They're thinking, what is this sannyasi doing? He's got a very beautiful form. His form is like molten gold. He's got the effulgence of Brahman and he's embracing a low-class Rudra. Right? So this relationship between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai, only they could know. Nobody else could understand. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then told Ramananda Rai, actually Ramananda Rai, I have come to meet you because Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya wanted me to meet you. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, being a great devotee, was inspired um, to make Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai meet each other. Right? So externally, that was the reason that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. But internally, the reason was something that we all know. Because he was having the mood of Radharani, he naturally had a propensity to meet Vishaka Sakhi. So then the conversation started between Ramananda Rai and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this conversation is very, very interesting. So I think we should go over this conversation to some extent. So if we go to Madhya 857, right? Quickly go over this discussion between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Somebody can read the translation. We very quickly go. 857. Yeah, this view is perfect. Yes. We can go on reading and everybody can hear this full conversation. It's a very nice conversation.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Rai recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. 58. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, is worshipped by the proper execution of prescribed duties in the system of Varna and Ashrama. There is no other way to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One must be situated in the institution of the four Varnas and Ashramas. The Lord replied, this is external. You had better tell me of some other means.
So in 59, if you go to the verse of that 59, this Eho Bhai Aage Kaha Aar, this particular phrase, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will consistently use this phrase again and again. Eho Bhai, which means Mahaprabhu will say, go on, there is something more that you can explain. So Mahaprabhu will instigate Ramananda Rai to reveal the ultimate truths. Right? So Eho Bhai, you say Eho Bhai. No, this is not important. Go further. Right? And go back to the translation.
Text 60. Ramananda Rai continued, my dear son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, and whatever austerities you perform, all the results of such activity should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Eho Bhai, this is also external.
Text 61. This is also external. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, please proceed and speak further on this matter. Ramananda Rai replied, to give up one's occupational duties in the Varnashram system is the essence of perfection. Text 62. Ramananda Rai continued, occupational duties are described in the religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can fully understand their qualities and faults and then give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man.
Go on.
Text 63. As stated in the scripture, Bhagavad Gita 18.66, after giving up all kinds of religious and occupational duties, if you come to me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and take shelter, I will give you protection from all of life's sinful reactions. Do not worry. Text 64. After hearing Ramananda Rai speak in this way, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again rejected his statement and said, "Go ahead and say something more." Text 65. Ramananda Rai continued, "According to the Bhagavad Gita, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me." Text 66. After hearing this, the Lord, as usual, rejected it, considering it to be external devotional service.
Eho, bye.
He again,
Again, go on.
he again asked Ramananda Rai to speak further, and Ramananda Rai replied, "Pure devotional service without any touch of speculative knowledge is the essence of perfection." Text 67. Ramananda Rai continued, Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, those devotees who have thrown away the impersonal conception of the absolute truth and have therefore abandoned discussing empiric philosophical truths should hear from self-realized devotees about your holy name, form, pastimes, and qualities. They should completely follow the principles of devotional service and remain free from illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and animal slaughter. Surrendering themselves fully with body, words, and mind, they can live in any ashrama or social status. Indeed, you are conquered by such persons, although you are always unconquerable." Text 68. At this point, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, "This is all right, but still you can speak more on the subject." Ramananda Rai continued, "As long as there is hunger and thirst within the stomach, varieties of food and drink make one feel very. Similarly, when the Lord is worshipped with pure love, the various activities performed in the course of that worship awaken transcendental bliss in the heart of devotee. Text 70. Pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness cannot be had even by pious activities in hundreds and thousands of lives. It can be attained only by paying one price, that is, intensely to obtain it. If it is available somewhere, one must purchase it without delay. Hearing up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, "This is all right, but if you know more, please tell me." A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create the holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become a servant? By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to having such a perfect master? Hearing this from Ramananda Rai, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. In reply, Ramananda Rai said, "Loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. Neither those engaged in self-realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord, nor those who engage in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of God as Master, nor those who under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord as an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as cowherd boys." The Lord said, This statement is very good, but please proceed even further." Ramananda Rai continued, "O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaja perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breast? The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Vishnu. The Lord said, Your statements are certainly getting better and better one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. When Lord Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Rasa Leela, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world. Nor was such a thing ever imagined by the beautiful girls in the heavenly planets, girls whose bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of the lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women, who may be very beautiful according to material estimation. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All these transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. Increasing love is experienced in various states, one above another, but that love which has the highest taste in the gradual succession of desires manifests itself in the form of conjugal love. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows, from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellows are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to a point of 5 complete qualities. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellow. Therefore, the qualities found in Santarasa, Dasyarasa, Sakyarasa, and Vatsalya Rasa are all manifested in conjugal love, Madhurya Rasa.
So until this point, Chait- Ramanandra has concluded that Madhurya Rasa is the topmost, right? Then after this, he goes on to explain the loving affairs of the relationship between the gopis and Krishna. So if you can come down, you can probably 87, 88. So 88, you see, complete attainment of the lotus feet of Krishna is made possible by the love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Rasa conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated with love. This is stated in the Bhagavatam, right? You come down to 89. And Lord Krishna, the means of attaining my love is, yeah. So this is something we discussed. If you come down further, now see 90 and 91 was what we discussed in the beginning. Lord Krishna told the gopis, the means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me, right? See, 90 and 91 is what we discussed at the beginning. If you remember, 90 is according to Lord Krishna in 91. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly, right?
Yes.
In 92, if you see, we discussed this verse. The Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that Lord Krishna cannot properly reciprocate devotional service and Madhurya Rasa. Therefore, he always remains a debtor to such devotees. So, again, if you go further on, it culminates to the point where Ramananda right starts talking about Srimati Radharani and how Radharani is the epitome of Madhurya Rasa. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu hears this, right, he gets what he wants from Ramananda Rai. He feels fully satisfied the answer of Ramananda Rai. So he takes this conversation to a point where Ramananda Rai is able to express the first class devotion that Srimati Radharani and the gopis had to Sri Krishna. So Mahaprabhu becomes extremely pleased. So if you see which is the last verse that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu speaks, go on. So if you go to 8117, this is where Mahaprabhu gives us, after hearing, 8117. After hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Ramananda, that for which I have come to your residence has now become an object of truth in my. The verse before that, you see, 116, since Krishna's lusty desire was satisfied even in the midst of hundreds of thousands of gopis, thus searching after Srimati Rani. We can easily imagine how transcendently qualified. So these are the confidential discussions that happened between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so happy with Ramananda Rai that he showed him his six-handed form, right? You would have seen this famous photo of Ramananda Rai praying to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showing his six-handed form. So there is a special darshan that Ramananda Rai got. Actually, Ramananda Rai is a very pure devotee of Lord. And the glories of Ramananda Rai further explained in the Antya Leela. But so after this great meeting that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had with Ramananda Rai, in fact, Acharyas say that one of the main reasons Chaitanya Mahaprabhu undertook this trip was also to meet Ramananda Rai. While preaching was also something he wanted to do. Obviously, he wanted to meet Ramananda Rai also. So the Lord does something, he tries to achieve many purposes through that one action of his. So after this meeting, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the banks of Kaveri, right? And there, in the banks of river Kaveri in Sriranga Kshetra, is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu resided in Chaturmas at the home of this famous devotee called Venkatapata, who was the father of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. As you all know, Gopal Bhatta later on became Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So Mahaprabhu spent sufficient time, because it was Chaturmasi, it was a rainy season, Mahaprabhu could not travel anywhere. So he used those 4 months to spend considerable time on the banks of river Kaveri, where he gave association to Venkatapata. His son, Gopal Bhatta, had the opportunity to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became pure at heart. And he wanted to always associate with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu promised him that once he grows old, he becomes a little more, slightly more elder in age, he will be able to come to Vrindavan and take association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Sriranga Kshetra is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also met a Brahmana, an illiterate Brahmana, who did not know how to read, write, but he had this unique qualification that whenever he used to see Krishna speaking the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, he used to have tears flowing through his eyes. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met this illiterate Brahmana, he asked him, why is it that you're crying? And the illiterate Brahmana said, when every time I get to see how subservient Krishna has become to Arjuna, because Arjuna is his devotee, appreciating the position of Krishna, tears start rolling from my eyes. So this Mahaprabhu. So Mahaprabhu told this illiterate Brahmana that actually you are literate. You know the real meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Because you are following the instructions of your spiritual master. Without trying to understand what is right or wrong, you're just following the instructions of your spiritual master. And that's why Krishna Prema is revealed to your heart. The illiterate Brahmana told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhu kahe murkh hami. I don't know. I'm a fool. Shuddha ashuddha na jani. I don't know what is right, what is not right. But Guru Agnya Mani. I have accepted the instructions of my spiritual master and I'm trying to read the Bhagavad Gita. Even though I cannot read, I'm trying to read. So Mahaprabhu told him that because you're trying to read and trying to follow the instructions of your spiritual master, all glories unto you. This way Mahaprabhu blessed that illiterate Brahmana. And at Sriranga Kshetra, Mahaprabhu ecstatically danced before the beautiful form of Ranganatha. Gauranga dancing in front of Ranganatha. You see how beautiful this meeting was between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ranganatha Perumal. So after the Chaturmas period is over, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took leave and he started his journey back to Jagannath Puri. So when Mahaprabhu went back to Jagannath Puri, it was time for the Ratha Yatra festival to be held at Jagannath Puri. So all the devotees from Bengal, they used to come to Jagannath Puri to visit Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during that time, when the annual Ratha Yatra festival used to happen. So at that time, the king of Orissa was called Maharaj Prataparudra, and somebody who was very subservient to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but somehow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to ignore him because he felt it was not right for a sannyasi to keep association with somebody in the princely order. But somehow the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were very favorable to Prataparudra Maharaj. Somehow wanted Mahaprabhu to meet Prataparudra Maharaj. Mahaprabhu kept avoiding this meeting. Anyway, finally, the Ratha Yatra happened. The Ratha Yatra festival was so much of delight that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experienced. There were 7 groups of devotees who were dancing for the Ratha Yatra. And mystically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was present in each of those groups. Right? Mahaprabhu was present in each of those groups. Of course, before the Ratha Yatra, Mahaprabhu also took part in cleansing the Gundicha temple. Right? At that time, Maharaj Prataparudra also engaged in the service of cleaning the temple. Because every time, even today, before the Ratha Yatra festival happens, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu travels from, Jagannath travels from Jagannath temple to Gundicha temple. The Gundicha temple is usually cleaned. There is a Mandira Marjana Seva that happens. And Mahaprabhu participated personally in that Mandira Marjana Seva. So did Maharaj Prataparudra and all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all that is described in great detail. Then, as I said, Mahaprabhu participated in the Ratha Yatra festival. He was seen to be dancing in all the 7 groups concurrently. Very, very mystical. When Jagannath appeared before him in the chariot, Mahaprabhu exhibited emotions of transcendental ecstasy. And after the Ratha Yatra festival is over, Mahaprabhu went and sat in a garden. And that's when he met Prataparudra Maharaj, who came in a very humble state with an intent to serve devotees. And Mahaprabhu was very pleased with Prataparudra Maharaj and accepted his devotion finally, right, after a lot of endeavor. So in this way, Mahaprabhu continued his pastimes in Jagannath Puri, right? So, and all the associates and devotees who came to participate in that festival, they not only had darshan of Jagannath, but they also got the most fortunate association of the associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And after the Ratha Yatra was over, a grand feast was prepared, and Prataparudra Maharaj personally served prasadam to all the associates of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fed all the devotees so much prasad. Right? He kept giving them prasad as much as he could. And the devotees all became very ecstatic, accepting remnants of Jagannath's prasad. So this way, Jagannath Puri was effulgent, the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. So we'll end the discussion here. There is more to this Madhya Leela. Of course, what we've covered pretty much encapsulates the Madhya Leela from chapter 1 all the way up to chapter 13. After this, the Lord makes another endeavor to travel to Vrindavan. The first endeavor was spoiled by Nityananda Prabhu, but this time around, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes another endeavor to travel to Vrindavan. And how he travels to Vrindavan, how he meets Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, his instructions to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. That forms the subject matter of the remaining chapters in this very beautiful Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, while narrating this, he narrates this in a very humble state of mind. He feels he is a servant of Vrindavan Das Thakur. Vrindavan Das Thakur was the original author of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He compiled this very beautiful literature called Chaitanya Bhagavat that was compiled by Vrindavan Das Thakur. So in Chaitanya Bhagavat also there is Adi, Madhya and Antya Kandas. There, Vrindavan Das Thakur has given more emphasis to the early pastimes of the Lord. And so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in a humble state of mind, he writes down saying that whatever credit I have in compiling this Chaitanya Charitamrita, the actual credit should go to Vrindavan Das Thakur. I have just taken the remnants of his compilation and tried to compile what is possible, with the blessings of the Goswamis of Vrindavan. So this is the humility of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He compares himself to somebody who is completely incompetent to glorify the pastimes of Mahaprabhu. Vrindavan Das Thakur, in his compilation, has laid a lot of emphasis on the early pastimes of the Lord. And Kaviraj Goswami explains that it is by the mercy of Vrindavan Das Thakur that I have been able to write something about the later pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are like an ocean, and one cannot fathom the size of this ocean by material intelligence. The depth of this ocean is very difficult to fathom or ascertain. But Kaviraj Goswami feels he's made an humble attempt to present this great literature called Chaitanya Charitamrita, so that anybody who reads this literature, who discusses about this literature, his heart will get completely purified, and pure love to Sri Krishna will get very soon manifested in his heart. Right. So with these closing remarks, we'll conclude on this very beautiful episode of Madhya Leela, the initial part 1 of Madhya Leela, which talks about the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his age 24 to his age 20. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Really
Hare
conclude.
Krishna. Can we end the call here, Prabhu? Any questions anybody has? Maybe we can spend another 5-10 minutes.
No, Prabhu.
All right. Perfect.
So Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, I have one query regarding that.
Yeah.
Prabhu, that one thing you told that Lord Shri Krishna tells that he will be always indebted to the gopis, but how, Prabhu, like he is the supreme God, like Lord Shri Krishna can do anything. But this thing I can't understand.
Yeah, that's because the devotees of the Lord are actually more powerful than God himself. Right. Krishna gives that privilege to the devotees to actually act in a capacity where they are more powerful than him. Right. That's a privilege that the Lord gives. Just like Yashoda Maya was able to bind Krishna. So,
Yes, Prabhu.
how Yashoda Maya was able to bind Krishna? Because Krishna gave that position to Yashoda Maya. He used his Yoga Maya potency to give a privilege to Yashoda Maya that he became subservient to her. This is the highest reflection of how bhakti can manifest itself. And this is possible only in the platform of bhakti. That's why in the conception of impersonal realization, or even in the conception of fraternity, the fraternal relationship in bhakti, the devotee is always seen as subservient to the Lord. But when the devotee becomes purified, the Lord is okay to become subservient to the devotee. That's why a devotee, this concept of bhakti is the topmost in God realization. It is topmost because it can actually bring God under somebody's control.
Yes,
You see
Prabhu.
how powerful it is. That's why when Prabhupada used to encounter these impersonalists, Prabhupada used to say that devotees are greater than impersonalists because they can bring God under their control. Impersonalists want to merge with God. A devotee wants to become the master of God. He doesn't want to become the master of God, but the Lord gives him that opportunity.
Yes,
He's willing to completely come under their control and be governed by them, right? That is a unique position that is given only to the devotees of the Lord. So that's how we can understand the Lord's position.
Yes, Prabhu.
Any more questions?
Prabhu, is it advisable to read Chaitanya Charitamrita only after reading Bhagavatam? Or
Generally, yes, but if you have time, you can also read. If you understood the philosophy of so Prabhupada is kept it sequentially, but if for paucity of time or if you think that you want to read it, you can still read. Nothing wrong. Ultimately, you're in touch with Krishna and with your form of management. These rules are just to keep us in a certain direction, going well in a certain direction, but always make small adjustments depending on what suits us.
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. There are no other questions. We'll stop here.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
very much.
for joining
Prabhupada ki jai,
us.
Gaur Premanande.
Jai.
Jai.
Haribo.
Association with us.
Hare Krishna.
That's very nice.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you, Prabhu.
For
Hare Krishna.
joining.
Jai
Kalpatarupyascha kripa sindhubhya
Jagatnam Bhavanabhyo Vaishnavaya Namo Namo.
Shakti Prabhu ki jai.
Haribo.
Hari bol.
Jai.
So thank you so much, Prabhus, for joining. This was the whole program. Nothing else today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for hosting the
Haribo.
program today, Sami Prabhu. All glories to you.
Oh, no problem. I'm just doing what Kartik Prabhu told. All glories to Kartik.
Maharaj ki jai.
Yes, Prabhu. So next week, I think so. Prahlad Prabhu will join again. He was busy
Oh,
today.
Haribo.
Haribo. Oh.